My beloved brothers and sisters, do you know what amazes me the most about Salah? It's not just a prayer, it's a daily training ground for the mind and the soul. Allah has given us this gift 5 times a day, not because He needs it, but because we need it. You see, our minds are constantly distracted, our hearts are often restless, and our souls are pulled in different directions. But when you stand in Salah, when you bow your head and place your face on the ground, you are telling your own ego, you are not in charge. Salah is not just about reciting words, it is about discipline, focus, and humility. It is Allah's way of teaching us how to tame our thoughts, control our desires, train our hearts to love Him above everything else. My brothers and sisters, if you find your thoughts wandering in prayer, don't feel hopeless. Every time you pull your mind back to Allah, you are winning, you are training your soul, and with every rak'ah, every sujood, you are building strength to face life's challenges. Remember, Salah is not a burden, it is your shield, your peace, and your direct connection with Allah Almighty. Salah is the single most powerful act of worship in the life of a Muslim. It is the direct connection between the servant and Allah Tune, the moment when the world is left behind and the heart bows before the Creator of the heavens and the earth. The Prophet described it as the coolness of my eyes and a source of tranquility and strength. Yet, the very act that is supposed to be the most serene is often invaded by unwanted thoughts, distractions, and whispers. The reason is simple, as Shaytan knows how powerful Salah is. He knows that if a believer prays with khushu, focus, and humility, it purifies the heart, erases sins, and strengthens faith. So he does everything in his power to disturb it. His mission is not always to stop you from praying, because many sincere Muslims are committed to Salah. Instead, his mission is more subtle. Take away the quality of your Salah by filling it with worldly thoughts. Shaytan's goal to rob the reward of Salah. The Prophet taught us that Shaytan comes to every believer in prayer and whispers. Remember this, remember that. Until the worshipper no longer knows how much they prayed, Bukhar Muslim. This shows that Shaytan is like a thief waiting for the moment when you stand before Allah so he can snatch away your focus and steal from your reward. Shaytan whispers random thoughts about work, family, unfinished tasks, or even trivial memories just to make your Salah lose its sweetness. The tragedy is that many people leave Salah thinking, I prayed, but I don't feel anything. That emptiness is often the result of Shaytan's whispers, not the prayer itself. The Salah remains perfect, but the presence of the heart has been weakened. How Shaytan enters the prayer, the scholars explain that Shaytan uses different tactics for each person. For someone attached to business, he will remind them of profit and loss. For a student, he will bring up studies or exams. For someone struggling with personal problems, he will bring those worries to the forefront. Sometimes, Shaytan does not only distract the mind, but also tries to confuse the worshipper. He makes them doubt whether they recited correctly or whether they prayed 3 rakat or 4. This is why the Prophet advised us, if one of you is unsure in his prayer, let him do what he thinks is correct, then complete it. Perform sujood as sawas, prostrations of forgetfulness. A Muslim, this teaches us 2 lessons. Distractions are part of Shaytan's attack, not a flaw in the prayer itself. Allah in His mercy gave us ways to repair our Salah when distraction occurs. The significance occurs us focus in Salah. The Quran praises those who establish Salah with khushu. Successful indeed are the believers, those who humble themselves in their prayers. The Quran 23:1-2, khashati means praying with humility, presence of mind, and awareness that you are standing before Allah. Shaytan knows that when a Muslim reaches this level, their Salah becomes transformative. It changes how they live, speak, and behave outside of prayer. This is why he works so hard to break that state of focus. If a person prays without fighting the distractions, they risk turning Salah into a mere ritual. But if they resist the whispers and strive to refocus, even if they keep getting distracted, Allah rewards them for their struggle. How to defeat Shaytan in Salah? Prepare before Salah, clear your mind by making wati calmly, sitting for a moment and remembering Allah before standing in prayer. The Prophet himself would say the opening takbir with full presence. Understand what you recite, reflect on the meaning of Ra, Al-Fatiha and the verses you recite. Shaytan finds it harder to distract a believer who is deeply engaged in the meaning of their words. Seek refuge in Allah. The Prophet advised thee, when you feel Shaytan's whisper in Salah, seek refuge with Allah and lightly spit dry to your left 3 times. Muslim, this sunnah is a direct defense against the waswasa whispering. Shorten when distracted, lengthen when focused. Some companions advise shortening Salah when distracted, but lengthening it when your heart is present. The goal is quality, not just quantity. Train the heart outside Salah. What fills your heart outside prayer often enters your Salah. Reduce unnecessary distractions in daily life and increase dhikr and Quran. Your mind is trained to focus on Allah. Allah rewards the struggle. It is important to remember that even if you struggle with distractions, your Salah is still accepted by Allah. Shayṭān wants you to feel defeated, to think my prayer was useless. But in reality, the struggle itself is part of worship. Every time you push away a thought and return to Allah, you are proving your sincerity. The Prophet said, a man may finish his prayer and nothing is recorded for him except a tenth of it, or a ninth, or an eighth until half of it. Abu Dawood. This shows that the level of focus determines the reward, but also that any effort is counted. Even half or a tenth of reward is still valuable, and with practice, it can grow. Shayṭān distracts the believer in Salah because he knows its power. Salah is light, protection, and the key to paradise. If he cannot stop you from praying, he will try to make it empty. But Allah is most merciful. He rewards your effort, your struggle, and your sincerity. Every time you refocus your mind, you are defeating Shayṭān. So don't despair when distractions come. Rather, use them as proof that your prayer is valuable and that you are in a battle worth fighting. Victory belongs to the one who keeps returning to Allah, no matter how many times Shayṭān tries to pull them away. When we stand in Salah, our tongues recite the words of the Quran, our bodies face the Qibla, and our hands are raised in submission. Yet often our hearts wander. Thoughts about family, business, school, or worldly concerns flood the mind. Many Muslims wonder, why do these thoughts come to me during Salah? The answer lies in a profound reality. The heart naturally follows what it loves most. Allah created the human heart as the center of attention, devotion, and desire. Whatever occupies the heart during the day will appear when we stand in prayer. This is not accidental. It is a reflection of what we value most in life. If our hearts are filled with dunya, say worldly matters, those thoughts will invade our Salah. But if the heart is filled with the remembrance of Allah, then Salah becomes light, tranquility, and a sanctuary. The curse reminder about attachment, Allah warns us in the Quran not to let worldly love overtake the love for Him. But those who believe are stronger in love for Allah. Quran 2:765, this verse teaches us that love is not wrong. It is natural to love family, work, or wealth. However, the believer ensures that the strongest love is reserved for Allah Teen. If love for wealth or status dominates the heart, then those thoughts will appear at the most sacred time in Salah. Salah reflects the state of the heart. Salah is like a mirror. It shows what is hidden in the heart. If someone spends their day thinking about business deals, it's no surprise if those same numbers appear in their Salah. If a student is consumed by exams, questions and answers may flash in their mind while praying. This doesn't mean their prayer is invalid, but it does reveal where their heart finds its comfort. Imam Ibn al-Qayyim Bisa said, Salah is a measure of love. You want to know how much love of Allah is in your heart? Look at how much presence of heart you have in Salah. This statement is powerful. It reminds us that the heart cannot hide. Whatever it clings to most deeply will surface in Salah. The danger of excessive attachment to dunya, worldly love, is not inherently evil. Islam encourages us to love our families, to work hard, to pursue halal wealth. But when love for dunya becomes excessive, it distracts us from the ultimate purpose of life, worship of Allah. The Prophet warned, the world is sweet and green, and Allah has placed you as caretakers in it to see how you behave, a Muslim. This means dunya is a test. Shayṭān beautifies it so that we give it more attention than it deserves. If dunya fills the heart, Salah becomes difficult, rushed, or filled with distractions. Instead of Salah being the center of life, dunya becomes the center, and Salah is pushed aside. How to reattach the heart to Allah? The cure for worldly distractions in Salah is not to hate dunya, but to discipline the heart. Allah gave us family, wealth, and work as blessings, but they must remain tools for worship, not rivals to Allah. Here are practical steps. Frequent dhikr's remembrance of Allah. When the tongue is busy with dhikr during the day, the heart naturally recalls Allah during Salah. Reflect on death, and the akhirah, remembering that this life is temporary, helps detach the heart from excessive worldly love. Diversify your love. Love your family and work, but love them for the sake of Allah. When you see them as part of worship, they bring you closer to Him, not away. Recite Quran outside Salah. A heart familiar with Quran finds peace in prayer. A heart that only encounters Quran in Salah will struggle with focus. The reward of redirecting the heart, every time you push aside a worldly thought in Salah and bring your mind back to Allah, you are showing Him your sincerity. Allah rewards effort even if the struggle continues. The Prophet said, a servant may pray and only a half of it is recorded for him, or a third or a quarter, until a tenth. See, Ahmad. This means that even in a small presence of heart is valuable, and with practice, the portion increases until Salah becomes pure sweetness. True love is shown in worship. The Prophet said, "You will be with those whom you love." Zabuka, Muslim. This hadith reminds us that love is not just emotion, it is destiny. If our hearts love Allah most, Allah will honor us with closeness to Him in Jannah. Salah is the training ground to purify and strengthen that love. When we struggle in Salah, it is a reminder to recheck our attachments. Where does the heart run when it is supposed to be with Allah? That is the clue to what we love most. And by redirecting that love, we not only improve our Salah, but also our relationship with Allah in every part of life. Worldly thoughts in prayer are not random, they are reflections of the heart's attachments. The more the heart clings to dunya, the more it invades Salah. But the more the heart clings to Allah, the more Salah becomes peaceful and transformative. A believer's goal is not to erase love for dunya, but to balance it, to love everything through Allah, not besides Him. When the heart learns this balance, Salah becomes the moment of true love, when the servant stands before the Lord, empty of distraction, full of devotion, and content with nothing except Allah. Salah is not only an act of worship, it is a daily discipline, a spiritual training ground that molds the believer's heart, mind, and soul. 5 times a day, Allah invites us to leave behind distractions, step away from worldly concerns, and stand humbly before Him. This repetition is not without wisdom. It teaches self-control, builds mindfulness, and gradually tames the inner self, nafs, which is naturally inclined towards heedlessness and distraction. Salah builds discipline of time and action. The first way Salah trains us is through its discipline. Unlike other acts of worship that may be occasional, Salah is continuous, tied firmly to specific times of the day. The believer learns punctuality and order by aligning their life around Salah, not the other way around. When the adhan calls, the believer is reminded, pause, step back, return to Allah. This discipline helps tame the impulsive desires of the nafs, which constantly chase comfort and convenience. By praying at fixed times, regardless of mood or circumstance, we learn to place obedience to Allah above the fleeting demands of our lower self. The Prophet said, the most beloved deed to Allah is prayer at its proper time. Abu Bakr, Muslim. This hadith emphasizes how Salah trains us to value time, prioritize worship, and establish order in our daily routine. Such discipline spills over into other aspects of life, creating balance, focus, and productivity. Salah trains the mind to focus and resist distractions. The human mind is restless. Even in moments of silence, thoughts come and go like waves. Salah provides a unique environment where the believer is challenged to redirect the wandering mind towards Allah alone. This is why the Prophet said, a person finishes their prayer. Nothing is written for them except a 10th, a 9th, an 8th, a 7th, a 6th, a 5th, a quarter, a third, or half of it. Zabdo, Nasi. The value of Salah depends on the presence of the heart and mind. Every time the believer brings back their attention after distraction, they are taming the mind. It is like a muscle. The more it is trained, the stronger it becomes. Modern psychology calls this mindfulness, but Islam taught it centuries ago. Salah is mindfulness in its purest form. Conscious awareness of standing before Allah, reflecting on His words, and humbling oneself in sujud. Salah tames the nafs through humility. The nafs self, ego, naturally resists submission. It wants freedom without limits, desires without restraint, and pride without humility. Salah directly challenges this by requiring the believer to bow, rukh, and prostrate sajid, the ultimate symbols of submission. The Prophet said, the closest a servant is to his Lord is when he is in prostration. A Muslim, when the forehead touches the ground, the ego is crushed. No matter one's wealth, power, or pride, Salah humbles every believer equally. A king and a poor man both place their faces on the same earth, acknowledging that only Allah deserves greatness. This repeated act disciplines the soul, reminding it of its true position, a servant before the Creator. Salah as a source of spiritual cleansing. Another way Salah tames the soul is through purification. Just as regular washing cleanses the body, regular Salah purifies the heart from sins, arrogance, and heedlessness. The Prophet gave a beautiful example. What do you think if one of you had a river in front of his house and he bathed in it 5 times a day? Would any dirt remain on him? They said, no dirt would remain on him. He said, that is the example of the 5 prayers by which Allah erases sins. The Bukhari, Muslim, this cleansing removes the stains of sin that make the nafs stubborn and rebellious. With every Salah, the heart is polished, the soul is softened, and the believer gains strength to resist temptations. Salah creates inner peace and control over desires. Life is full of pressures, work stress, family struggles, financial worries. Without spiritual grounding, these pressures can overwhelm the mind and lead to destructive habits. Salah provides a safe space, a pause, where the believer connects with Allah and regains control over the self. Allah says, indeed, prayer prohibits immorality and wrongdoing. So Quran 29:4-5, this verse highlights the transformative power of Salah. By disciplining the nafs, Salah reduces sinful impulses. The believer who prays consistently and with presence develops strength to say no to haram, to walk away from temptation, and to prioritize what pleases Allah. Salah is daily training for the akhirah. Ultimately, Salah is practice for the greatest meeting of all, standing before Allah on the day of judgment. Every time we pray, we rehearse humility, accountability, and devotion. We remind ourselves that one day we will stand before Allah without distraction, without excuses, with nothing but our deeds. Imam al-Hasan al-Baskana said, "Son of Adam, your prayer is your key to Jannah. Guard it, for if you lose it, you will lose everything." Thus, Salah trains the mind and soul to live with purpose, prioritize the eternal over the temporary, and to transform daily habits into acts of worship. Salah is far more than a ritual. It is a training ground, a school of discipline, mindfulness, humility, and purification. It teaches us to master our time, tame our distractions, and subdue the ego. The believer who prays with sincerity grows stronger in faith, calmer in heart, and closer to Allah. Every rakah, every bow, every sujood is not just movement. It is spiritual training, building the believer into a servant whose heart and soul are tamed, aligned, and devoted to the one who created them.